In this episode, we will continue to speak with Sri Shyamji about how he has combined his work with sound and touch to create the InnerTuning system, which provides a practical insight into first, knowing where you are on the path to enlightenment, and secondly, learning specific practices that will help systematically and methodically progress on this path. For those of you who have listened to the prior episodes, you will recall the story of Sri Shyamji in an altered state, experiencing the microchakras and automatically writing about them. Today we're going to dive into the specifics of that experience, the teachings of the microchakras, and practical applications of InnerTuning with microchakra charts and sounds. Today we're also joined by Marcia Miller, a longtime student of Sri Shyamji's. So let's rewind here back to your 20s, Sri Shyamji, when you experienced the microchakras. The first question is, how do you think you entered into that altered state?
I don't really recall that particular night. It was probably I was having some difficulty sleeping. So when I have difficulty sleeping, I just sit down and keep my eyes closed. And it must have been around 11 o'clock at night or something. Then all I remember is at 8 o'clock in the morning, I got up from a little desk I was sitting on. And I found this yellow pad with all these writings, which was my handwriting. I really don't have any memory other than the fact that I must have not been able to sleep that evening. And I just tuned into some state, which now I know what it was because part of microchakra psychology includes the central channel, the 49 microchakras in the central channel, and one of them is automatic writing. So I must have tuned into my own central channel, that specific microchakra, which causes people to go into that spell of automatic writing when they are not in their normal sense of rationality. And yet the messages are coming to them and they are just writing and writing and writing. That's why it's called automatic writing.
What did you write?
It was like statements that when you have the first microchakra of the first blocked, you will have problems with insecurity, with constipation, with incorrectable bowel rhythm. Chakras have a rhythm. All that information that I did not consciously know, it just revealed itself.
Did that information become what is in the microchakra book, or did it progress from there with more layers of information coming over the years?
No, it was all at once. The only thing in the book is that when I sent the script to the publisher, he refused to publish the central channel because without the central channel, the size of the book was 376 pages. And he thought that nobody will be able to carry a book with 500 pages in it. So therefore, they kept the central channel for some other time, so to speak. So now I teach the central channel in private workshops. Actually, I haven't done one in quite some time. So there are only 98 microchakras, 49 related with the right channel, which develops during the first 3 years of life of a girl and 3.5 for a boy, and 49 microchakras in the left channel that open up during all our life with all the attempts that we make ourselves.
So you brought up this central channel, and we'll come back to this in future podcasts. Quickly, for the listeners, could you explain the differences between the left, the center, and the right channels from the perspective of microchakra psychology?
Yes, yes. You see, we have to see what is happening when the baby is being born. When the baby is being born, first of all, we notice that baby is very intelligent. Every baby in the mother's body is like a yogi. They are doing a headstand or a shoulder stand, whether you want to call it Shirsasana or Sarvangasana. That's what the babies are doing in mother's body. In between, they swim a little bit and then they go back to their yoga postures. So it takes place about 40 weeks. And then finally, when the time comes and the baby has to come out, mother's contractions, they massage the top of the head of the baby. And that's why it's so important that the baby's head come first. There are other implications when it does not. So the contractions of the mothers, they stimulate that energy that has been kind of centered in the seventh chakra part of the body, which is the top of the head, and it starts to move from there. And as the contractions continue, the energy starts to move. So it is the seventh chakra energy, which is light. Nothing but light up in the seventh chakra part of the body. The stimulation causes it to move downward, and it moves downward in the right channel, the right side of the spine. Now, if you really want to look at the graphics of it, the stimulation is causing that energy to move towards the right side. From the right side, it comes down towards the sixth chakra part of the body. When it reaches the third microchakra, it then starts to go down in the left channel. And then all the way from the left channel, it goes down to the coccyx and then rises up in the left channel, coming back to the third microchakra of the sixth and ending up in the left side. So this lemniscate motion of energy continues for the rest of our lives. Now, when it is descending in the right channel, it is called solar energy. So the light has now become the sunlight, not the seventh chakra light anymore. It has now coming down to the right channel. In Sanskrit it is called Vajrini Nadi. So all the way it comes down to the Dhara. Dhara means the earth chakra part of the body. Then it starts to rise into the left channel, ending up back into the left hemisphere of the brain. And then this continues all our lives. Now, in the process, the left channel energy is called lunar energy because the solar aggression is absorbed by the earth element. And the energy becomes much more soft. Soumya, it's called. Soumya, gentle. This is why it is called lunar. Why? Because it's going to end up in the right hemisphere. So therefore, the right part of our brain controls the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain controls our right side of the body. So this energy is called lunar. In the central channel, there is fire. Fire is coming to us from previous lives. This is the fire of desire. And then there are desire principles. We have three major desire principles. We call them lingas. Swayam Bhu Linga, Ban Linga, and Itar Linga. And all of that is explained in the book, of course. So just to answer your question as to what kind of an energy it is, these are the three types of energies. And in our lives, what we do, we try to extinguish that fire of desire by satisfying the desires. That's what life journey is about.
This is an interesting point to transition to a little bit of the practical side of inner tuning. The theory that you explained becomes really practical with the microchakra chart. And first, my question is, how were you able to chart, or how are you able to chart so specifically? Because I know the right channel is the first few years of life, and it's either open or closed. But as far as I understand, the left channel is bringing all our lifetimes of whatever we've done, and the left channel is dynamic. And so from day to day, things can happen
Yes.
and change there. And so I know from my work with you that every time I have a consultation, there are some changes on the left side. So my first question is, how are you able, because I think it's like 9 degrees of opening on the left side for each microchakra.
Yes.
How do you think you're able to feel to have the sensitivity to feel exactly what stage they're at?
Think of the softest silk, and it's layers and layers of silk. But under that silk, there is an ant that is crawling. So on top of the sheets of the silk, I put my finger, and the feeling of that microchakra. Do I feel that ant-like energy moving or not? And if it is moving, what is the state of the movement? So there are 9 different states I arbitrarily can feel. It's just like if somebody was to ask you, how many stages does a flower take to turn from a bud to the full-blown flower? Depends on your sensitivity of observation. You can say that it blossoms in 9 stages, it blossoms in 100 stages, it blossoms in 100,000 stages. That depends on your sensitivity of observation. My touch can experience 9 different degrees in which a blocked microchakra does open in the left channel. I wish it could happen in the right channel, but it doesn't. I tried it many a time. It doesn't work. Because the right channel is so difficult to open. Not difficult, it's impossible to open. Shall I give you an example? Yes. If you were not a breastfed baby, which caused you your 5th microchakra of the heart chakra, Anahata chakra, become blocked. And now you are 19 years old or 29 or 90, you have that block. What can you do to open that block? Answer is nothing. In the right channel, you cannot open it because it has to open in the first 3 years if you are a girl, 3.5 if you are a boy. If it has not happened, you just have to live with that block. You can, however, open the 5th microchakra of the 4th, same one, in the left channel, for which there are inner tuning practices. I can focus on them and I can help people open that. And people have done it. Not once, 1,000 times.
For the benefit of the listeners, what are some of the practices that might be able to open that?
First of all, we just have to acknowledge the general rhythms of the chakras. General rhythm of the chakras depends on the relationship of the light. There are 2 aspects of the light. One is the dark and one is the day. So, once we regulate our relationship with the darkness in a positive way, which in the last 100 years or so, we have really played a havoc with it, ever since with the advent of electricity, because we have tried and we have turned the night into day. But your pineal gland doesn't know how to react to it. You see, if you look at your brain chemistry, 2 hours before the sunrise around the equator, your pineal gland senses the light of the sun coming. Sun is not there yet, but it senses the light. And when it senses the light, it warns your first chakra mind, because the message comes from the 7th chakra down to the first chakra. We call that 1661 connection. And the body acknowledges that signal, and body tries to toss and turn so that you can get out and respond to that message coming down to the first chakra rhythm. And that rhythm is what? To use your apana prana, the detoxifier, and get rid of the waste material out of your body. So in the first an hour and a half after you wake up, if you wake up 2 hours before the sun, which yogis try to do, and many of them do, in that period, you take care of the needs of your body. First thing first, when you wake up, naturally people urinate and then they brush their teeth and whatever their rituals are. Defecation is the first chakra rhythm. That will set the tone of the rest of the 7 chakras. Because if your foundation is not pure, you are not going to get most of the other chakras light in a way that you will if your system was pure. Just of the physical waste material and the fumes. Those fumes are called apana. Apana prana. Prana means breath, air, and apana is detoxifier. So that is one thing that I recommend all my students to go to sleep early at night. There are psychological reasons why people don't go to sleep early, because it makes them feel like an adult when they go to bed late. Because all their lives as children they were told, go brush your teeth, put your pajamas on, go to sleep. So when you become an adult, you want to do what adults do, which is you go to sleep late, which means you wake up late. Of course, you sleep much less as an adult in comparison to a child, but still, the desire to stay up late makes you feel like an adult. So what we are doing, we are reacting. Instead of acting with the rhythm of the chakras, we are reacting to our social bringing up.
So to summarize, the purification practices and the chakra rhythms will help us open the left channel, microchakras, which can help counteract what's happening in the right channel. And for people who aren't familiar with this work, just to summarize, the right channel is sort of how we're treated in the first few years of life when we can't do things for ourselves and the energy's coming down from the 7th to the 1st. And the left channel is dynamic, and this is where we can have an impact. And one of the remarkable things is you can get a microchakra chart that can pinpoint what's going on in both channels, and then doing the work with sounds and inner tuning, you can change what's happening in the left channel and have a direct experience with what that does physically, emotionally, and psychologically. Just quickly, Sri Shyamji, the central channel, as I understand, is where the yogic powers are, and it can sometimes seem more woo-woo, but as we know from your experience, there are some openings in the central channel that you've directly experienced. Can you just briefly share some information on how that channel is explained compared to the right and left?
Primary function of the central channel is to create an atmosphere in all 49 microchakras where the fire is extinguished, the fire of desire. There are a number of different ways to achieve that. By some intense yoga practices, such as practicing 7 different types of yoga in your life. Not just one, not just Hatha Yoga, not just Tantra, not just Karma Yoga, not just Bhakti Yoga, not just Nadi Yoga, not just Jnana Yoga or Kriya Yoga. All yogas are to be practiced on the daily basis in an ideal family. When you do that, all seven chakra lights, they become totally illuminated in our entire left channel, causing the fire of desire to extinguish in the central channel. When that fire is extinguished, it's called the state of ash. Ash is considered very sacred because the whole central channel, it has to become ash. As soon as it becomes ash, in the waking state, your dormant energy called kundalini, mispronounced as kundalini, rises in the central channel and goes up to the seventh chakra. That's where you have your divine self, you can call it. In fact, everybody uses it every day. It is referred to divine, but what it is consciousness. It is that consciousness which is never born, nor does it ever die. Whether there is a universe or there is no universe, consciousness is always there. It's ever present, never born, never dies. And to realize our true identity, our kundalini has to rise up in the central channel to embrace that consciousness, which it has been all along. But due to that fire of desire in between, the desire is to achieve that. And then, of course, it's divided between 7 chakras. And each chakra has a mind of its own, which means each mind has its own desires. Each mind can employ the strategies to satisfy those desires. That is why in every chakra there is a 7th microchakra. 7th microchakra stands for contentment. First chakra mind must be content. Second chakra mind must be content, and third, fourth, fifth, sixth as well. When all 7 chakra minds are content, Kundalini has no difficulty rising in the central channel, and you are a fully enlightened human being. Where you are in relationship to the fully enlightened being, I can make a chart and tell you how far you are from it. You see, before, the teachers had to use intuition to give a mantra to their students. And you know, there are 330 millions of mantras. Not that every teacher knows all of them. You cannot, it's impossible. But from what they have experienced in their own lives, they intuitively choose one or the other to give it to a student that they think will be benefited. But now you don't have to use the teacher's intuition. What if the teacher's intuition is not correct? And here you are stuck with that mantra for the rest of your life. In some cases, they just give you one mantra for the rest of your life, which I think is a blunder. Why are there 330 millions of mantras? If one mantra was enough, there would have been just one mantra. No. Each person, according to their state of development, the teacher has to now consult with microchakras and see which ones of the microchakras are ready to open. So give the mantra that will work for that particular microchakra. And when the purpose is served, you go to the next mantra. So now there is a system. And that's what microchakra psychology is about.
It's such an amazing mix of theory that was experienced, the ability to use touch to actually make a practical tool, the chart, that provides a window into an individual's experience or stage, and then the prescription is vibration or sound that can have an impact on the left channel and create those openings so that we can have a direct experience of overcoming some of our what you call saboteurs. So just for a moment here, talking about how sound, vibration is the medicine, quote unquote, what does that mean?
That means that if sound is pronounced properly, that means that when you chant it with a proper instruction from Nada Yoga, mantras are most effective when you use Nada Yoga as your basis for the mantra. And Nada Yoga has requirements. Any mantra that you chant, even if it's a 7th chakra mantra, if you are chanting that mantra by breathing with your mouth, it's not going to go to the 7th chakra. It will go to the 7th microchakra of the 3rd. At best, it can go to the 7th microchakra of the 4th. That is, if you are so fully in tune, your voice is so melodic, and your devotion is at its apex. 7th of the 4th. Beyond that, you will not go until you practice Nada Yoga. And the first requirement, first tenet of the Nada Yoga, breathe in with your nose before you open your mouth to chant a mantra. Sound is sacred. And to invoke that sacred element that it will trigger, it will explode. Trutyate is called in Sanskrita. Mantra, mana iti trutyate. That which will open up your mind. That can only happen if the sounds are done with a proper instruction. Breathe in with your nose, chant your mantra, just for 3 minutes. That's all you need to chant. Because you're doing it so methodically, the effect will keep on multiplying like a bij mantra, seed mantra. Seed means what? That which will sprout. Every time you repeat a mantra, it has the potential to sprout. Otherwise, it's like a farmer is throwing the seeds around without plowing properly. So maybe accidentally one of the seeds will work, will get in there with rains and so on, but most of the seeds will get wasted. That's why there is a methodology of how to grow seeds. Every farmer knows that. So this is spiritual farming.
How could a listener get in touch with you and actually have a chart made and potentially make some progress on their own path?
First thing first, read about the microchakras. When you will read about the 98 microchakras, then will be a good time to understand. Or if you want to do it the other way, have a private chart made first, and when I give you the chart, you consult with the book and see what were the causes of this particular opening that you have. What have you done that caused you to open that? Then you will see that there are other blockages that you could also open with the same strategy that you applied before. In addition, you are going to get more instructions that will help not only yoga postures or sleeping positions, changes in the diet and exercise, and mainly mantra, and when to change the mantra, how to feel that something is really opening in you. You will feel it yourself, but there are additional materials that can be shared in that consultation. So that's the way to go, and the more information you can get from my